Alright guys, so this is going to be just a bonus video showing you how I created the very simple NewsGrid logo. And this is not true logo design, because what I really did is I found an icon on the internet and I just added some text to it. I edited the colors a little bit. But what this is going to do is give you a small introduction to Photoshop, because Photoshop is very beneficial when you're creating graphics or even creating mock-ups, stuff like that. So I just figured I'd add this on. And I'm by no means am I like a true graphic designer. I have a little bit of capabilities, but I wouldn't call myself a graphic designer by any means. So what we're going to do first is create, this is Photoshop CC, and I'm going to create a new file. So you guys can't see my menu, but I'm going to go to File, New, and I'm going to create a new document with the width of 600 by, let's say, 600 width, 400 height, and create. And let me just bring this over. Okay, and then I just searched Google for a globe icon, and I found this here. So if I search globe icon, it's going to be this one right here from commons.wikimedia.org. Now, make sure if you're doing this type of thing for a client or for a production website, make sure that if you do use an icon like this, make sure it's stock. It's a free stock image, and it's not from another website or anything like that, because you could run into some issues, some copyright issues. So I'm going to go ahead and just save this image. And then I'm going to drag it into my Photoshop image. I can actually just take this and bring it right in like that. And let's resize this. So we'll do like that. And this isn't going to be the exact image that we use, but this is how I did it. So I'm going to choose this tool right here, which allows me to move things around. So I'll move this over here. And let's choose the text tool right here. And just click in there, and I'm going to say news. You guys probably can't see that, it's so small. I'll increase it in a second, but I'm typing NewsGrid, and we can change the size of the font up here. I'm not sure exactly what size I use. Let's highlight this, and 72 is the largest we can choose here, but you can put in whatever point you want. So let's bring this over, and I don't think this machine has the exact font that I used, but of course you could go through the fonts. If I just go up here and just move the mouse wheel, it'll show me all the different fonts that I can use. So we'll just choose, like, again, this isn't going to be the same exact logo, but we'll choose, let's see, oops, something that's kind of square. We'll just use that, I guess. All right, so you find a font, and let's see, we have a color that we want to use, which is that red color. So I'm going to click on the palette right here and just kind of guess. So it was like a darker red, so something, let's see, something like that. So I'll click OK, and let's highlight grid, and then click this color up, this box up here, which is the actual text color, and I can choose from here. I could have just did that, but I wanted it in my palette over here. But you'll see it turns into an eyedropper when I hover over it, and if I click, it'll change the color to that. All right, so that's the text. Now for the globe here, I want these four inner squares to be red. I want it to be this color, so I'm going to grab the wand tool right here, and I'm going to click, actually, see over here in our layers, I probably should have explained the layers. I'm going to deselect with Control D, but we have layers. So we have the text, we have the actual icon, and we have the background. And we can remove the background with this little eye right here. You can see we can remove that. We're going to want to do that before we export the file as a PNG. Now, in PNGs, you can have a transparent background like this, but JPEGs you can't. So if you want a transparent background and not a white or solid color, then make sure you export as PNG. Or GIF, whatever you want, however you want to say it. People say it in different ways, but GIFs they're not as high quality as PNGs are. All right, so we're just going to leave the background for now just so we can kind of see what we're doing. But I'm going to go and highlight the globe icon here, and again choose the wand tool, and I'm going to click in here, and you'll see the little the moving bars around the box here. That means it's selected. Now I want to select all four, so I'm going to hold down shift and click this one, and this one. Okay, and then I'm going to go over to my brush tool, which is this one right here, and let's see, actually, you know what, I think we have to rasterize this first. Yeah, so see how I can't do anything? We have to rasterize this. So we're going to go over to the layer and right click and say rasterize layer. And now we can color it. And notice that it's only coloring within the selected parameters. Okay, and you can, if you right click with the brush tool, you can make it bigger. So we can make it bigger like that. So now all the four boxes are colored in. I'm going to deselect with Control D, and that's it. Okay, so pretty simple. Now, I also have the light version of it so that it can go on a dark background. Because if I take this background, and this is going to be locked by default, the background, so you have to double click and just click OK, and now it's unlocked. And we could take the brush and color this if we wanted to, but I'm just going to double click and it opens up the layer style panel. And from here I'm going to choose color overlay, and then we can actually choose a color. I'm just going to make it really dark like our footer is, because that's where we put the light version, and click OK. All right, now that doesn't look too good. It's too dark. There's no contrast. So what I'll do is over here you can see the folder icon. I'm going to create a new folder. By default it's called group 1, but I'm going to rename it, double click, rename it to standard. And I'm going to move my two layers, the icon and the news grid, the text, into that standard folder. All right, now if I click the eye here, I can toggle it. Okay, now I'm going to create another folder down here. Make sure it's not in the standard, and I'm going to call this one light. All right, and then what I want to do is duplicate both of these, the text and the globe icon. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to say duplicate layers, and you can name them if you want. I'm just going to click OK, and they're just going to be called copy. And now let's move this into the light folder. Okay, and then I'm going to take the standard folder and just click the eye so it's not showing. So now it's just showing the logo or the icon and the text that are in the light folder. And now I want to make these light, so the text is easy. I can just choose the text tool, highlight news, click on this, and make it white. Click OK. And then for the icon, I'm going to make sure that it's selected over here in the layer panel, and grab the wand, and I want to select, oops, let's see, yep, there we go. So I want to select in there. I'm actually going to zoom in, so I'll click the microscope here and just zoom in, and then click the wand and hold shift. That's not the wand, that's the color picker. We're going to hold shift and just click in each of these. Okay, and then what I'll do is choose the brush tool, and I'm going to change the color. Now we have two colors here. You can see the blue. I'm just going to switch these just so I have that red one as a backup, but I'm going to change this to white, and that's going to be the color of the brush, and I'll just go ahead and fill that in. Okay, 'cause it's only going to fill in what's selected, and then I'll do Control D to deselect, and then let's zoom out. We'll just say, whoops, we want to say 100%, and that's the actual logo. Okay, so that's basically what I did, and then we can take the crop tool and crop this image. So basically we can just select around it like that. We can adjust it, and let's right click and say crop. All right, so now the image is only this big, and we have the light. If I click the little eye icon and click standard, we have our standard. Now we're going to want to remove the background, so we'll click that, and now we have our standard and our light. Okay, now let's save the standard. So I'm going to go to File. Now you could do, We'll just do save as. I don't want to make this too confusing. So let's go to save as, and you can see that by default it's getting saved as a PSD. Okay, so I'm going to call this logo, and I don't want it to be a PSD. That's a Photoshop file, meaning that it will include all these layers and stuff, but we can't use that inside of a web page. So I'm just going to choose from here PNG. All right, and then I'll save this to, we'll just save it to, I guess, my desktop. And we're going to get this PNG options. We're going to just click OK here. All right, so that saves the regular logo. Now let's click the light, and same thing, file, save as, and I'm going to name this logo underscore light, and I'm going to choose PNG for this as well. And OK, and that's it. Now if I close or minimize this and just get rid of all this stuff, don't save. And then I can show you, let me just bring over what I saved. So we have our logo light and we have our logo PNG. All right, and if I just open this with preview, we just have just a standard image that we can include in our web page. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of go through that little process. It's not really something that is needed to know to build websites, but if you want to get into editing images, maybe creating graphics and stuff like that, or maybe just text logos, Photoshop is great for that. There's also GIMP, which is an open source tool that is very similar to Photoshop. You also have Adobe XD, you have Sketch, Figma. There's a lot of different graphic design programs out there. So find one that fits you and is pretty easy for you to pick up. But I just wanted to throw that video in there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and that's it. Thanks.